Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Kyle Fensky. I'm the director of our North American channel. I'm joined by Rafaela, the head of channel strategy and solutions at Demand Factor. So we got something cool to talk to you guys about today. Really, we're going to be going through some of the marketing stuff with navigating a buyer's journey, talking about data-driven marketing activities, aligning the marketing and sales side of things, demand generation creation, and then we'll wrap up with a little bit more information around the tools and resources and where you can go to learn a little bit more, take advantage of what we've been doing over here. So with that,
Awesome.
your show.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. So, first and foremost, I want to kick us off by talking about the buying journey because the buying journey that we've known is completely shifted. So, right now, we're at a point where we've entered the digital age of the buying journey. So, what does that actually mean? This is a very busy slide, but the reason it's busy is because it's important. So only 70% of the buying journey, or sorry, rather 70% of the buying journey is completed before they even talk to a salesperson, right? And only 17% of that time is actually engaging with sales. Now, what's even more interesting is that 80% of B2B buyers have vendors in mind before they even start researching. And of that group, 90% of them will choose from that day one list of vendors that they've got. And then ultimately, 84% of all of this, they're going to go to the vendor who's reached out to them first. So that's why it's really important to shape the market before buyers search, right? So focus on creating awareness and defining a need for them, right? It's not waiting to compete. It's not waiting for them to understand the problem. It's getting you guys ahead of that and defining the problem and positioning yourselves as the obvious answer. So how do you do that? Well, first and foremost, be visible, right? Everybody searches in different areas. Where I might look at LinkedIn, my colleagues might go and look at Facebook or Google or go into ChatGPT and type out their answers, right? So making sure that when you're doing marketing strategies, you're really showing up where they are. The next point is position yourself as a problem solver. Nobody wants to be sold to. Nobody does. But what they want is they want a solution to the problem that they have. So how can you position yourself in that way? Make sure that you're talking about, different solutions versus, your product or your services. Focus on what's happened in the world or giving valuable insights that are really going to help them get forward. Make that strong first impression, right? First impressions matter. I think that one's self-explanatory. And then always educate early and often, right? The more you're there, the more they're going to know your name and the more that they're going to trust you. And then, of course, use real world examples. People want to know what's successful and where. So making sure that you're selling those success stories, you're saying, here's how we've helped other people with this problem that you're experiencing. So how do you really meet those buyers where they are? Well, first and foremost, you want to build your ICP. So what is an ICP? It's your ideal client profile. So what that means is where are these people located, right? What does that ideal person look like? What info, like what geographical stuff are we looking at? What titles are going to be those decision makers? Who's really going to influence that buying decision and who's within that actual buying journey? And then create content that helps them solve their problems. You don't want content that's going to sell. A data sheet is not going to help you until they're talking to your sales team. So really focus on that thought leadership and engaging a content that's going to help them really engage and start trusting you as someone who's going to help you solve a problem. And then hit them in multiple locations. As I said before, I do my research somewhere else and, every one of you probably looks somewhere different to do your research. And then most and very, very importantly is track what works. If you're doing a whole bunch of different things, but you're not taking a look at what's really resonating with this audience, where are they really focused, and what's really helping them make that decision and help me move along in that buying journey and help them move along in that buying journey, you're not going to see success. You really need to be able to track what hits, right? And then use your ecosystem. We're here with Scale. Scale has so many resources that Kyle is going to go into detail in the coming slides. So make sure you have that opportunity to really go in and take a look at what do they have that we can use and we can work with to really help position that in a broader audience as well. So how do we speak that language? How do we speak to the buyers? Well, there's different phases they're going to go through, right? First, they're going to go to that awareness stage. They're going to focus on, well, we have a problem, I think, but I don't really understand what my problem is, right? So that's where we're really going to start talking about different issues, right? So talk about what those challenges are that are common. Here's the top 5 things that IT professionals are seeing here. Okay, really focusing on that moment of how do we get our awareness? How do we get our name in front of them when they're trying to figure out what their problem is? Then the buyers will go into a consideration phase. So that's really where they've identified what that problem is, and now they're trying to find a solution for it. So that's where you can now come in and say, okay, well, here's a solution. Here's not only some, top 5 challenges that people are seeing, but here's some solutions to those challenges. Here's how we can help you through those challenges. And then they go into that decision-making process. And at this point, they're ready to make a purchase, okay? That's the only point. Then and only there do you start actually talking about your product and services, because that's the point that actually matters to them. So engaging buyers at that correct stage is really going to help you build that authority, nurture those future relationships, and then really drive those high quality leads for your sales team to action upon. Let's go into a little bit of how do we make it easier to understand where these buyers are, and how do we work with them, and what does this all mean, right? So that's where we really start diving into data-driven marketing. What does it really mean to you? Well, let's start by first identifying what data-driven marketing actually means. I have this line up here at the top where it says smart marketing isn't louder, it's more precise. And you'll see a very common engagement through that as we go through these slides. But what data-driven marketing does, it helps you do just that. It helps you become precise. It empowers you to make smarter decisions, optimize every single touch point you have with your buyers, and then drive a more impactful and personal approach so that you're really focusing with them and guiding them through that journey that they're going through. So how do we do this, right? Well, first and foremost, we use intent data. And let's do a raise of hand. Does anybody here know what intent data is? Oh, we got like one or two, three. So that's really where we're talking about, okay, for instance, like even just as simple as going into ChatGPT and saying, hey, what are the topics that this ideal customer profile is? What are the topics that they're really searching? What is intriguing to them? What are they identifying as kind of that tree like ideal intent signal? And that could be as simple as, hey, is this buyer in the awareness stage of the funnel? And is that an intent where I need to now go and really kind of start talking about problems that are in the space? Or are they maybe further down and now they're really searching all these different solutions, and you can come in with your differentiating point. The next one, and I kind of touched on this, is leveraging Gen AI for quick insights. So not only can you utilize Gen AI to work with you and help you identify what your ideal customer profile and your ideal audience is looking at, but keep in mind they're doing the same about you. Google is great, but a lot of people will just type into ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools to say, hey, what is my problem here? And who's gonna help me with that? So you kind of need to show up there as well. And then personalize based on actions, right? If somebody's researching about problem A, you don't want to come and show them your solution over here, because that's not going to help them. You're not going to be a trusted advisor. And if they're going in and, clicking on a landing page and letting you know, hey, I have a problem with this. That's a great point to go to your either continue to nurture them down that funnel or go to your sales team who's following up with them to say, hey, they're having a problem here. Let's talk about that problem and really personalize what we're going to talk to them about so that they're getting that experience and we're really showing ourselves as true trusted advisors, right? And then measure, adapt, repeat. Again, like I said, we're going to go over this quite a bit. It's what is working, how is it working, what's not working, and let's not do that. But let's continue to optimize what we're doing along the way and continue to figure out, okay, this is working. Now let's tweak it over here. Okay, that didn't work, but let's move it back over here. Now you're really optimizing everything you're doing in every single effort you make from a marketing perspective. So, how do we put this into practice, right? Well, and I can see that this is a little bit small, so we'll have the slides elsewhere. But first and foremost, put your data in the same spot, right? Connect your CRM to your web tools if you have them, right? If you have campaign tools, make sure that you've got maybe a campaign tracking code so you know, hey, this effort is influencing this pipeline, right? So, first and foremost, make sure your data is all talking and it's all in one place. Next, use AI to predict the next moves, right? It's going to tell you what's going to work. Let it tell you who's likely to buy and why. Let them tell you what those intent signals are. Let them tell you, hey, what are these people researching? But also get in front of it, right? Make sure that you're utilizing and having that solution visible. So when they go and research, you're right there. And then adjust in real time. Perfection is the enemy of done. There's never a done moment in marketing. What might work this month is not going to work the next month. So really focus on what's working now and where do we need to pivot and continue to grow and continue to build. And then, of course, you need to get your sales and marketing in sync. If they're not in sync, you're not going to be successful. And I'll go into that in a couple of slides ahead here. But make sure that they have the same insights. They know what these marketing campaigns are. They know what the journey that this person has gone through before they've met with you. And then, of course, track revenue. At the end of the day, the reason you're doing marketing is to make money. So it's important for you guys to see what money's actually working and where it's going and how much impact these marketing efforts are creating for you. And most importantly, beyond everything, quality over quantity. You don't want to do 25 different marketing activities throughout the year. You really want to focus on 4 to 6 different campaigns that have multiple channels, multiple ways to continuously create engagement, create demand, create what you're doing, but really hone in on what that message is and what group you're targeting, and really focus on what's important. So now let's go into sales and marketing alignment. Who owns what, right? It's not just about them getting along and seeing these answers. It's really about everybody in that boat rowing the same direction at the same pace. So traditionally, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have known this, you'll see you've got your marketing team who works with a vendor, like third-party vendor or whomever else, to create these marketing programs and these campaigns. And then those just get handed down to the sales team, right? So there's no alignment. The sales team isn't involved. So when you go now over to this more aligned model, you can see the marketing team is responsible for understanding the content, the campaign tactics, working with that vendor. But the sales team and the marketing team are also talking about, well, where in the sales funnel is actually going to be beneficial to create a reliable pipeline for you this quarter or this year or this half a year? What are the business goals that you guys are going towards? What are you challenged with, and how are we supporting you in that? And then also working with that other side where you talk about what is that lead journey? What journey has that lead gone through before it's come to me, right? What is the follow up? What insights can you give me to help me make this more personal? Help me actually take these MQL and SQLs and understand where in the funnel they are, where in the buying journey they're standing, so that I can go and execute an outreach that's going to be more effective for those specific people. So let's talk about really how big team alignment is. All right. It is a growth driver. So companies who are aligned with sales and marketing see a 67% higher efficiency in closing deals. They create 208 more revenue, 208% more revenue from marketing efforts, and a misalignment can cost companies 10% of their annual revenue. So it is very important to make sure that everything you guys are doing, you're completely in sync with every single team member on your team. So how do we do this? Right? How do you align your teams really? Well, first, let's set some mutual goals. What are they trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve? And how can we create a synergy between that, right? Next, create a clear lead flow. At what point is that lead getting delivered to sales, right? And let's reference that very beginning point. Only 17% of the buying journey is done with sales. Everybody is researching beforehand. So you'll really want to make sure that you've got this lead going through that campaign long enough so that when the sales team is actually there, they're finding that success, they're feeling that success, they're able to start having these conversations because you've got that brand recognition. You've got that recognition of somebody who's helped you solve your problem. So making sure that they understand, here's the entire journey that this lead has gone through before I give it to you. And you know exactly what you're going to do once that lead comes into your pipeline. And then share the same tools and dashboards, right? It's not just a matter of handing those leads off and saying, "Good luck, sales. Hopefully it works." Let's make sure that you're getting feedback from the sales team, making sure that you're able to see what's converting, what's not converting, right? That goes back to just making sure that you're looking at those insights, you're getting that, you're repeating what's working, you're optimizing constantly. And then meet regularly. This is something that seems super easy, but in every single conversation, I mean, I'm gonna say like 80%, when I ask somebody, "Hey, how often does your marketing and sales team meet?" I'm gonna say it's usually once a quarter at an all hands at most, right? So making sure that you've got your sales team aligned with the correct marketing person and making sure that they're talking, right? Have a Slack or a Teams chat where it's like, hey, listen, how are those leads going? Hey, let's jump on a call. Let's figure out what's working, what's not working. Let me make your life easier, right? And then create and document expectations, right? It's not right until it's written down. So if you've got a goal of delivering, whatever, 50 SQLs to your sales team, and your sales team goal is to convert that into pipeline and convert that evidently into ROI, you need to be able that you're creating that document to understand where that ROI is coming from so that you can invest better, smarter, and more effectively. So how do we execute this with impact? And this is something that we've had the pleasure of working with a few partners on with Scale Computing. And we created a demand creation program that really supports everything that we've talked about today. So how does that look? What are the capabilities of that? Well, first and foremost, what it does is it educates those buyers early. It influences them early, right? It helps you build that brand and thought leadership. It creates that problem awareness. It engages them through high value content, and it helps you align your sales and marketing team, right? So we're here to help you show up early to shape that market before buyers get into it or before they understand their problem, and then make sure that we're there to support you all the way through so that your sales and marketing teams are aligned. So what's the purpose of it? It's to drive reliable pipeline because everything comes down to money. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to see a really nice high ROI and have a very full pipeline of opportunities. But it also gets you in front of the right people at the right time where they are. And then it improves your nurture and follow-up strategies because you have more insight into what journey has this lead actually gone through. And then it delivers that trackable insights, right? Again, we need to track everything so that we can optimize and turn around and repeat it. And then, of course, it aligns your sales and marketing team. We really help focus on how is this lead getting here? Who's responsible after marketing has built this lead up to where it is? Who's responsible for that? Well, let's get them in on this call. Let's get them learning. Let's give them tools and resources to help them do their jobs more effectively to really build that really robust pipeline and that actually converts, right? So really be where your buyers are headed, engaging early, positioning your brand so that you can really see that long-term success. And at that point, I'm going to go hand it over here to Kyle.
Cool. Thank you very much. So we'll wrap up a little bit here with what can you do? What is available to you right now? So we'll start off with one of the new tools that we launched is our marketing center. So for those of you that aren't familiar with marketing center, if you go into our partner portal, it's partners.scalecomputing.com. You'll see a marketing tab. If you drop that down, there'll be marketing center. What we've been doing is we want to help enable you to go to market with scale computing. So by doing that, we've built out different campaigns that you can now launch directly from this tool. So go in there, they have pre-built campaigns, whether it's email, social media, et cetera, et cetera. Look at that and you can go through and you can now go and post that on behalf. It's co-brandable, and then you can go and generate those leads and come back and execute them from that portal itself. So it's a really exciting tool. I recommend everyone get in there and check it out. The other thing that we're doing is it's coming soon. So keep an eye on it, get ahead of it by getting into Marketing Center now. But we're looking to launch an incentive. So one lucky partner that goes in there will be, we're going to draw a raffle of $500, I believe, was the incentive to someone that's gone through and activated Marketing Center, tested it out and used it. So get in early, and then you won't have to worry about it. The next one is our content library. So we are constantly making new material. We're putting that up in our content library. That's all most of it is co-brandable too. So now you can go through and you can put your logo on it, download it, and send it out on your behalf. You can go build your own campaigns accordingly. So if you haven't picked up on the theme of this entire conference, we want to invest into you guys. We're 100% channel focused, so go check those out, see if there's anything up there. If there's something unique that you want, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to collaborate and make something if it's not already available. The next one is the MDF program. Everyone loves MDF. So also in the partner portal, there is a MDF request section. So we like to go and partner with you guys to get creative. What kind of events can we do? What kind of different campaigns can we put together? Go through, put that request in, send it over to us. Our team will be able to review it, give you a call, walk through the plan together, and we can approve them accordingly. Now, I wanted to wrap up here with a couple quick success stories, if you will. So we have two of them that I'll talk about. One of them is someone came to us, our friends over at 5-Star, and said, hey, let's do a webinar. We have all these schools out there. Let's do a webinar to this K through 12 education base. We went through and we were able to help support them. We supported them through the webinar itself, and it generated $850K worth of pipeline, and then went through and closed $704K worth of revenue. So it goes to show like we can go through and get creative to do a campaign together and then see it all the way through. And we're jointly doing that with our partners itself. The other one is something near and dear to my heart. I know the playoffs are on right now, but we were able to go through and do sporting events. We've always liked to go with our partners to say, hey, let's go rent a suite. We'll bring all these customers in together. Let's do a quick pitch before the game, and then let's just hang out. The best thing about the channel is the relationships. So go through and bring all these customers together, and we can go through and have just those casual conversations to say, hey, this could be a good fit. Oh, I've been thinking of doing it this way, and so on and so forth. Those have also been very successful. So these are just a couple examples that we've had. I'm sure that you probably have ideas going through your head. So what's next? This is the channel team that we have out there, both local here in the US, in Canada, and then across the pond over in Europe. Reach out to these guys. They're here. They're all around the event. If you see them, flag them down, say, hey, I got to talk about this cool idea, things like that. But if you want to make it even simpler and don't know who to go to, just send an email to channel@scalecomputing. Hey, I'm looking to talk to someone about a cool event or idea. The team will find out where you're located, or reach out to you, and we can go through the process of talking deeper into there. So with that, I mean, we have a couple more minutes. I'll leave this up here. You can take pictures of it. But any questions for either of us? But thank you for joining us here as well.